Welcome back, my friends. My name is Eric. This is Rome Creative, and today we're going to talk about how to make a greeting card using AI generation. I'm going to use Midjourney today. Midjourney, I think 4 just recently, Midjourney 5, excuse me, just recently came out. And Photoshop for my skills. I'm going to be printing on to matte cardstock. So let's go ahead and jump into my process. Now, at the moment you see here, I've got some succulents that I did in the past. You can certainly use AI to generate cards like this, and in fact I am. But most people that are going to do this card business or looking for that are going to probably just get their pictures off of a stock photo website of some sort. I use deposit photos for when I personally need stock images. But you can, deposit as well as others allow you to get a commercial license as well if you'd like to sell the cards, or you don't need to pay that if you're just buying the cards for personal. You're buying the artwork for personal use to make your own cards. But let's go ahead. Let's take advantage of the benefits of using AI and do something a little more complicated. You can see here, I've been trying to get a good T-Rex eating a birthday cake, but let's go a little simpler. One of the places I have, I can sell my wares, so to speak, happens to be a flower shop, live plant shop. So I've been working on a series of cards that are more aimed at gardens, hence the succulents up there. Now, what I am printing onto at the moment are matte cards. So matte does not lend itself well to like a photograph, right? So something of that style. So we could easily generate that type of thing. And in fact, let's go ahead and do that first, because maybe you do want to print on a gloss. So let's go ahead and pull one up. So let's say I want that. And in this case on this, I'm going to say imagine. That's the prompt for Midjourney. Now, I happen to have this imported into my own personal Discord for my gaming YouTube channel. But you can easily go into the standard, if I can find it, Midjourney. And let's go in. If you're new to it, you can use the newbies room for your first 25 generations, I think. After that, you need to use another one. But let's go ahead. Let's just jump into a general image one here. And scroll down and we'll see whatever we see here. So we're going to just go with imagine again, then hit space and it will automatically add that prompt. Alternatively, if you type /, you'll see that it will bring up some frequently used ones. I'm going to just click it there, and that's another way to pull it up. So I'm going to say imagine how do you spell dormouse? Is it dormouse? I think that's how you spell it. A dormouse drinking tea, right? Except because, no, I said we we're going to do gloss, right? So a photo of a dormouse drinking tea. Let's make it a little bit more ultra realistic. Photo of a dormouse drinking tea in the garden. Surrounded by beautiful, excuse my spelling, by beautiful flowers. Spelling is difficult for me. I have just a touch of dyslexia, and I've always struggled with getting stuff right. Ultra realistic photo of a dormouse drinking tea in the garden surrounded by beautiful flowers. I think that's good. So now let's say we want a different aspect. Maybe we're making a card, so we don't want something to be square. Generally speaking, Midjourney creates square pictures. You can see right here, this one's square. This one, somebody up here did 16.9, which would be, what your computer monitor would be. So let's go ahead. We got some cool stuff coming up in the background. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use (2) That's for aspect ratio. And we'll make this for the same aspect ratio of the computer. We'll hit 16.9 and we'll hit enter. Now it's going to take a minute for this to generate. You can see here I am using version 5 because I have a paid membership to Midjourney at the moment. Version 5 is only available at the moment to paid subscribers. Version 4 is still the norm for the free accounts, but I assume that will change in the near future. And I'm just going to give this a couple minutes, and eventually, see, there's a lot of people on here today. That's pretty cool. I like that. You can see ours is beginning to build, right? So we're at 0% right now. So what's going to happen is the AI is going to start to block things in as it figures out what it wants. All right, so we've got the basic shape of our dormouse. We've got like a garden in the background, some flowers, and it's going to slowly fill in details, change maybe styles that we're interested in as it goes, and kind of make its adjustments based on what we want. So, I mean, I guess technically this is also, a garden themed one, right? They're working on a banner, pretty cool, and somebody down here is working on some stickers. So there's a lot of opportunity here if you use AI art generation for an Etsy or a print on demand store of some sort. So we're beginning to get our little cute guy here, and he does appear to be very cute. So give it just another couple minutes here to finish generating. When it does generate, it's going to kick it all the way to the bottom, right? So it builds here, and then it'll drop it down when it comes up. So if you stay at the bottom, you can watch everybody else's stuff come up, and then when yours is done, it'll pop up and show you. But obviously, Alice in Wonderland themed artwork here for us today. Little literary and garden all at once. Remember what the dormouse said: feed your head. So we've got a little pop music. I live in Monterey County, which is famous for the Monterey Pop Festival, with some music from that generation. Although I don't know that they played there. More famous for Janis Joplin kind of having her coming out party there, I guess. So maybe I'm a little off on that reference. All right, we're up to 93%. And we're going to give it another second here. And we'll cruise down to the bottom. Looks like the bottom's going pretty fast there. Some bunny rabbits. And these are our 4 options. So from here, if we didn't like any of these, but we still thought our prompt was good, we could recycle it. Or if we do like one of them, we can hit U1, 2, 3, 4 for which one we want. And it's going to upscale it. Now, version 5 essentially builds these upscaled. So once you hit that, it comes up pretty fast. Version 4 builds these at a lower res, and then when you hit upscale, it takes a little bit of time to finish adding details and stuff like that. So depending on which version of Midjourney you're using, that may change. Also, depending on which AI art generator you're using, that could be different as well. So let's go ahead. Let's say we really like this one. And I do really like that one. So let's go ahead. We're just going to hit U4. It's going to come down here in a second, and it's going to give us what we want, hopefully. Maybe. Did I miss it already? It's entirely possible I missed it already. There, I missed it. So this is our picture. Now, if I wanted to use this one, I would just hit copy image, and now I could paste it into Photoshop or whatever else I want to do. Now, this is a great image, and I will use this for something, almost certainly. Probably, actually, for a card of some sort. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this image real fast. Give me just a second. But it's not what I want for today. For today, what we want is something a little bit more appropriate to print onto mat. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go back into my own, and I'm going to go back to our Imagine. And in this case, what I found, I think looks really good on mat, is something more akin to the old naturalist styles of sketchbook, where we use a little bit of watercolor and pen and ink, something like you would put in your notebook as you study something, right? So we're going to do that. So we're going to do exactly that. We're going to say a vintage naturalist sketch in ink and watercolor of a I don't want a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I want a dormouse drinking tea. Now, maybe I want to do something with colors. I have a list that I've got. Give me a second here, and I'll show you kind of some stuff. This is all mixed in with generating for a bunch of other things. So I have a YouTube channel that does gaming stuff, and it's got to have, thumbprints and stuff that are done. So some of this has more to do with it than that. So there's a number of art styles you could try. So you can see I've got all sorts of stuff. Anything from kind of classic types of stuff, You know, like we've got one I use a lot is impasto. I love kind of thick art for oil painting styles. Um, we've got prismatic to get us a bunch of, you know, a wider range of colors. One I do like is triadic as well. But what I'm thinking this time is let's go with feng shui, right? Uh, so we have wabi sabi as well, which is another kind of Asian style that I really like. But let's go feng shui. I think we're in the garden. I think harmony, that sort of thing is very good. So I'm going to give this one, and I'm just going to say in the feng shui style. Now, I happen to know exactly what, what's the word I'm looking for? Aspect ratio I want this in. And we'll go into how I figured that out in a minute. But just for now, understand, actually, I'm going to do a 2133. And we're going to say okay, and we're going to give it a minute to generate. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, I only put one dot in there. Let me fix that. I'm just going to go ahead and copy, /imagine, paste, fix that. It takes 2 dashes to kick off that command. There we go. All right, and we have, I can dismiss this old message there. We have our dormouse pictures. These are our 4 options, and these are all pretty good. I think, let's start with, I'm going to make all of them big, because I haven't decided which ones I actually want to use, but I'm going to grab all 4 of them real fast. And you can see there's a limit on how many things you can kind of bring up at once. But I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to look at this one maybe first, as well as maybe this one. So we'll look at 1 and we'll look at 3 there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 1. He looks very cute. Well, maybe we'll start with 2. I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and get Photoshop going before we get any farther. So I've got Photoshop up. I have my own logo here for my various enterprises, but we're going to go and we're going to start a new one. Now, the stock I have is 8.5 by 11 inch, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new file that's going to be 8.5 by 11 inch, and I want a resolution of 300 dots per inch. That should get me a pretty good resolution for printing. RGB color is fine. All of this is fine. Now, it may depend on what orientation you would like your artwork to be at, your card. I'm actually going to change this. I'm going to go 11 by 8.5 for 2 reasons. One, that fits the aspect ratio of the monitor better, but also it's going to fit the card I'm going to do better. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to have a background of transparent. Yours is probably going to be white unless you've changed it, but we're just going to go ahead. 8-bit RGB color is fine for my purposes here. And so this is our piece of paper. This is what our card stock is going to look like initially, except, whoops, I guess I don't need another layer there. Whoops, and then I hit the wrong button there. Let's just go ahead. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to fill this with white. So if you hit this little deal, it'll automatically get you a black and white. Black is your foreground color, white is your background color. You hit this little arrow, it switches those around. I'm going to use the paint bucket. I'm going to make just a white layer. Now I'm going to go ahead and add another little sketch layer here for us. I like to label my layers. I'm not always good about it, but when I'm going to be doing something long-term, I do. So this can be our background. And it can be whatever color you want. If you're using different color cardstock or you're building this for something else, you could make this color match whatever product you're going to do. I'm going to give us a little sketch layer here. This isn't for the sketch we did. This is for me to sketch on. And we're going to grab a paintbrush, flip back over here, and I do not need it to be that large for what I'm about to do. Let's knock it down to about to there. That's fine. Okay, so this is our paper, and it is 8. Oh, I don't know how well I'm going to draw with this. Hold on. 8.5 by, I went to hook up my drawing tablet. I haven't used it forever. The battery's dead. So we're going to do this with the mouse today. 8.5 by 11, but our card is obviously going to fold in half, right? So this side is still going to be 8.5, right? This way, but it's then going to be, I'm getting better, right? You do it a little bit, right? But now it's only going to be by 5.5, right? 11 by 2 is 5.5. Now, my printer will not print to the edge of the card on a normal sheet of paper. The one I want will, but it's out of stock everywhere. Mine is going to leave a 1/8 inch border around all of this, right? So I want that border to also go here. So that means 1/8 plus 1/8, 0.125 plus 1.25 is 0.250, which means I'm going to lose 1/4 of an inch on all four sides. So that's going to leave me 8.25 by 5.25. Now, the reason I did the aspect ratio I used in Midjourney is because of this. I don't know if Midjourney could handle an aspect ratio of 8.25 by 5.25. I don't know if it'll handle a decimal there. So obviously 0.25 times 4 gets us up to 1. That gets us a whole number. So if I take this whole number times 4, that's going to get me 32 plus the 1 there. So 33 by 22. And that's why we had that aspect ratio. And you can do 33 by 22 or 22 by 33, depending on if you want your... The first one is going to be horizontal, right? So this would give us a wider picture. We went 22 by 33 because we want it to be 22 across, 33 wide. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and create another one. And I want this one to be, again, we want that aspect ratio. So I'm going to, actually, no, for this one, hold on. I want it to be tall, right? This one I want to be this side. This is going to be our back of our card. This is going to be our front of our card, right? And then when we fold it up, we'll have a normal card. So I'm going to go File. I'm going to go New. Inches is fine. We're going to go orientation this way. It automatically flipped it. Now, we know in this case, we want our height to be 8.5. That's this height of this card. Whoops. Actually, I take it back. We want it to be 8.25. That's going to be the height of our artwork, right? That's what we decided, 8.25. And this is going to be 5.25. I'm going to say stick with my 300 resolution, hit create. So I've got a new graphic here. I'm going to go back to Midjourney really quickly. I'm going to grab the picture I'm going to do first. Let's start with this one. I'm going to just right click and hit copy. I'm going to come back over here to Photoshop. I'm going to hit Control V to paste it in. Alternatively, you could go up here to edit, and then there should be a paste in here somewhere. There's a paste right there. Now, as you can see, my graphic is a little bit too small for our section. It comes in at a slightly smaller resolution. I'm just going to drag it down here. I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to go to transform scale, and I'm going to just drag it up till it matches the edges of our deal. A little bit over is fine as long as the actual none of the sketch is kicking out into the space we don't see. And there we go. That's going to be what goes on our card ultimately. But the problem is I don't know exactly where that's going to live. I'm not quite set up the way I want to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take kind of a step back. I'm going to hide our little mouse for a second. I've got a foreground color of black right here. I'm going to fill this in. I'm going to hit Control. I'm going to actually go select all, Control C to copy, or you can go to Edit, Copy. I'm going to come back over here to here. Come back over here to here. That makes perfect sense. I'm going to hit Control V. This is the space of my artwork now. So I have just copied and then pasted this square in here. Now, I could have done this with the artwork, but the artwork has some lighter colors on the edge, and I just think it's going to be a whole lot easier for us to see it this way. So I'm going to kind of drag that just by eye and see where it matches. Now, if I wanted to, I could duplicate this letter, duplicate the layer, and then I could drag this new one over here, and we could kind of play with them until we're really happy with where they sit kind of in relation to each other. Well, it's 24 pixels. I really, in this case, think that's pretty close. I think it can go, hold on, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to hit Z, and while holding Z, I can left mouse click in and out. Go up here, and this will give me a little bit of finer control. How close this has to be. It doesn't have to be exact, probably. There we go. That's what I want. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now, this is where my logo is going to be, and we can go ahead and do that real fast. I can go select all, edit copy. There's going to be a lot of copy and paste, right? So I'll do it this way. Then we're going to come back over here. I'm going to go edit, paste. It should get me a new layer. Sure enough. I'm going to zoom in here real fast. Looks like we're right on the middle there, so maybe we got that right. We're going to put our little guy here on the back of our card. I'm going to make him smaller. He doesn't need to be that huge. I'm not that egotistical. Let's just kind of give ourselves a little logo back there so people know where he came from. There we go. I'm going to label that as logo, and I'm going to drag it down here out of our way. We'll just put it back there. Now what I want to do is I'm going to make this a smart object. Smart object allows us to do a lot of things. In this case, probably could have done this slightly different order, but that's okay. We've got our smart layer right here, smart object. Now, if I double click this smart object, it's going to open another tab for us here. You can see layer 1, PSB, because that's, we've just called it untitled at the moment, right? So it doesn't know what it is. I'm going to come back over here real fast. We've already created this. It's the same size. I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to drag it over here and hit Control V, hide that. And now if I go File, Save, it's going to update that smart object on our previous document to look just like this. We come back over here. There we go. Now, depending on your artwork or what you're doing, you might just leave it right here. That would be perfectly acceptable. Now, I made these with a white backdrop on purpose because I want this artwork to kind of sit here in the middle of the card without having a hard flash line. Now, sometimes Midjourney will give me a completely white backdrop. In this case, it gave me an off-white, a buffalo white, forgive the pun there, backdrop, which is close. It's not terrible. So I'm going to come over here, though. Now, I could come in here with one of the select tools and try to select it, delete it, file, save. Then if we come back over here, we'll see we've got rid of all of that. This is going to give us a fairly harsh kind of little cutout where these colors change, right? This is supposed to be kind of that aged kind of, this is the bit of the paper that the water got onto. It discolored the water, maybe a little bit of ink that ran, whatever it may be. That's fine. And for a lot of artwork, that's going to work. For this one, not so much. I'm going to hit Control Z and come back and select, deselect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an adjustment layer to this one. And there's a few ways you can do that. You can click down here and you can click levels, which is what I'm going to do. Or you can come up here to adjustments and you could find levels here, which I think is this one. There we go. Nope. Is that the one I want? That is not the one I want. I lied. Does it give me the picture? What? No, it doesn't. This one. There we go. I'm going to arrow down here so we can see. Everything from this thing back is going to be dark black. Everything from this arrow over is going to be bright white. So if I just move this over, you can see that backdrop that was already pretty light starts to disappear. And we can make this wherever we want. So I'm going to move it kind of right to about there. And that should mostly, I'm going to go back to this layer here. I'm going to swap those. I'm going to turn it on. Paint bucket, white, there we go. We need a little bit more. I lost my levels. There we go. Click here. It should be under properties, under layers, depending on how you have it set up. There's a lot of ways to do this, and I am not a Photoshop expert. So I'm going to knock this over just a touch more to try to get this a little bit more white. But now we're going to fade a little bit more gently from the white into our colors. Now, I've lost a little bit of detail here because we've taken everything that's lighter in here, really, and kind of pushed it towards the white spectrum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this arrow. Now, everything between, this is our mid-gray. So everything between here and here on this chart is going to be between a middle gray and black. So if I move this way, it's going to make less of it between that, more in this case between middle gray and white, and it's going to lighten up the whole image. Everything except these things there. If I go the other way, though, I can darken things up a little bit. So I'm going to move to here. This can get us a little bit more contrast back. So we've pushed back a little bit beyond where we were initially, and to get ourselves just a slightly darker color for the image we have. But once it passes mid-gray, it's going to fade very quickly out to white. And so right there, I'm going to hit File, Save. I'm going to come over here to our document. I'm going to, still not quite right. We still get a little bit of white in there, don't we? The question is, sometimes it's easier to putz with it here when you can see the whole card. So I'm going to hit levels here, and now I'm going to just bring it down a touch more, and I think that's fine. It's a little bit, and you can see maybe just a touch of it here. But, up here, it looks like we fade in pretty easily. And the printer itself may not get much of that. But regardless, we've got a better version of this artwork sitting in the middle of the card, like it's the original piece of paper. A little bit more, maybe. I don't want to wash out too much of the image is what I'm worried about. I think I'm going to go there. So now I'm going to go ahead and print this, and then we'll be back, and we'll see what it looks like. Before I go, you can see right here on my printer, this is the area it can't print in. This is our 1/8 inch. Anything that overhangs that is just going to be white. It can't print it. So this is what we were recreating with our black boxes we were setting up. This is our 8.25 by 5.25 section. All right, so the printer's done. And as a reminder, this is what our original Photoshop layout looked like. Now, if we go to the actual camera, you can see what the card looked like. Pretty darn close, I think. So that's what we've got. So now we can go ahead and fold our card. And obviously, if you wanted to put some sort of message in, you could easily do that. There's the front of our card. My finger's out of the way. There's the back of the card with the logo. And we're done. So in review, what we've got, if I go back to here, we've got a Photoshop document set up, sized to the size of our card, laid out. We've got our logo on the back. We have got a smart object created that fits exactly what we want. So all we have to do, hold on, let me close all this extra stuff here now. No, it's fine. Now, if we want to change this one, I'm going to hide that back again because we may not need it for next time. All I have to do is double click this layer. Whoops. There we go. That's going to bring up our dude here. So let me go ahead. I'm going to grab another graphic from our Midjourney quickly, if I'm smart enough to do so. Let's go this little guy here. Copy. Come back to my Photoshop. Now I can go ahead. I can drop him in here. Control V. Grab my selection or my, what the heck they call this? The move tool. Edit, transform, scale, bring him up. Pow. Now this one's a little bit more brown, so we're going to run into a little bit more issue if we wanted to do this one this way. We could just bring it down a little bit and get kind of a vignette look if we wanted. This one might be one you're better off just kind of leaving as is, if I'm honest. But we could go ahead and kind of knock down to there. Maybe we still want a little bit more dark, but I don't think so. I think this one can actually come out just a little bit lighter, period. Something like that. Now, in this case, we're not going to lose our background completely because we do have this slightly more brown vignette, and that's fine. We can live with that. We've made our color adjustment here. We can make all of our adjustments here. We go ahead, we hit File, Save. We come back over to our document, and you can see our card has been updated. So we could do that with whatever artwork we wanted. So if we go back, if I go up here a ways, maybe I grab one of these. I've got some ones up here I've been working on. How about this one? Here, we'll go here. Copy, back to Photoshop. We've got our layer right here. I just drop them in there. I'm going to turn these two off because I don't need them anymore. You could delete them, or maybe if you're going to do a line of like 6 cards, you just leave them in there. All right. And know that you had them the whole time, and you could come open it back up. They'd all be there. You won't have to recopy anything. We'll make that all perfect. We'll line that up. We'll go okay. Now this one had a little bit of color in the background there. So once again, we can kind of, this one, most of the color we want is actual color, right? So we can drag this over quite a bit and get rid of as much of that as we want. So maybe we go to kind of to right there. I'm going to add a little bit more color in by giving us a little bit more between mid gray and black. I'm going to hit File, Save. I'm going to go back to our document, and there we go. That's our next card. And you could do this all day long and create the cards you want based on what you have. It's that easy. So our background, our logo, a properly sized smart layer. That's going to be up to you to figure the math and figure that out, which we created just on a whole nother layer so that we could make it exactly what we want, no matter what it might be, right? There we go. And then you can just update this smart layer, hit save, and you've got your card, and you just hit print, 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 print as you go. So I hope this one was useful for you. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you for watching. Cheers.